This morning I'm having a half a cup of oatmeal. I have a tablespoon of granola on top and a few blueberries. For lunch we're having quiche Lorraine, a very simple green salad, and then some cheesecake stuffed strawberries. I cooked 6 slices of bacon in my iron skillet, and the fat that rendered off I'm going to go ahead and keep. To the fat I'm going to add about a half a cup of chopped onion and about a half a cup of chopped leeks. You can see that the leeks and onions have cooked down to almost nothing. I cooked them on low for probably 20 minutes. I'm going to add let's see, a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, a pinch of cayenne pepper, a pinch of nutmeg, a teaspoon of fresh thyme. If you use dried thyme, use about 1/4 of the amount, and a clove of garlic that I minced on the microplane. I'm going to add all of these ingredients. This filling is so easy. I have 3 extra large eggs, a can of evaporated milk. I'm going to add 6 ounces of Gruyere cheese that I grated, and then the onion, leek, garlic mixture I've let cool on a platter. I'm going to add that, and I've crumbled the bacon. So everything is going to go into the custard. I've given my pie crust a head start, and what I did is I rolled out my regular pie crust recipe, put it in a 9-inch pan, and docked it. I took a fork and I poked holes in the bottom. They call that docking your pie crust, and that keeps it from puffing up. I baked it in a 425-degree oven, but I blind baked it. In addition to docking, I blind baked it. And what you do is you just take a piece of parchment paper and maybe a cup to 2 cups of beans, dried beans, and put on it, and it kind of holds down the pie crust. I baked it that way for 15 minutes, and then I took the parchment paper and the beans off of the pie crust and baked it for an additional 5 minutes. And then I save those beans in a Ziploc baggie, and I use them when I blind bake pie crust. You can use them over and over and over again. I added the filling to the pie crust, and you'll see it's just the perfect amount. It just comes out perfect every time. And even when I used my, I think it's a 10 1/4 or 10 1/2 tart pan, it comes out perfect as well. I reduced the oven temperature to 325, and we're going to bake it 40 to 45 minutes. It's going to come out delicious. I just took the quiche out of the oven. I'm going to let it rest for a few minutes, and then we'll get it served up. I forgot how good this recipe was. It's really good. For dinner we're having chicken with a Tarragon cream sauce, wild rice, and steamed asparagus. In my pan, I melted a tablespoon of butter and added a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm sauteing off a half a cup of minced onion, 1 sliced shallot, and 1 pound of sliced mushrooms. And I'm going to cook this until the onions get very soft. The onions have caramelized nicely. I turn the heat off because I want to add 1/4 cup of brandy. Now I'm turning the heat back on to medium high. I'm going to cook off most of the brandy. I have a teaspoon of kosher salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I have a heaping tablespoon of flour, a pinch of cayenne, 2 garlic cloves that I microplaned, and then about a tablespoon of fresh tarragon. I'm going to add this to the pan. all of the alcohol is burned off, so I added the spice mixture and the flour to the pan. I'm going to cook the flour out for about a minute. It's been about a minute. I'm going to add 3 cups of heavy cream. Now the recipe I'm making today is for 12 servings. We're having a dinner party tonight. And you could adjust accordingly and reduce, the amounts. I'm going to bring this up to a simmer. I've cooked the chicken breast in a little bit of broth. And I'm going to save this broth when I'm done because I'm going to cook a chicken pot pie later this week to put into the freezer. So I don't want to throw that out. I've placed the chicken breast into the cream sauce and I'm just going to let it simmer. The sauce has come up to temperature and it's starting to simmer, and I have it on very low heat, but you can see it's still kind of thin, even with the addition of the flour, the roux. But in about 20 or 30 minutes, the cream is going to reduce and the sauce is going to be so delicious and so creamy and just the right consistency. It's been about a half an hour and you can see how wonderful the sauce has thickened up. So I'm going to plate up dinner. Chicken with a Tarragon cream sauce. For my snack this evening, I'm having a tablespoon of Trader Joe's cookie butter with an apple.